You're tuned into The Crossover.
Michael on the drive across the lane. Turnaround shot. Got it. 63 for Jordan.
An hour-long basketball conversation presented and distributed by Snowman Digital Media.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it! Set the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And now, the men in charge of The Crossover, Cole Johnson and Brian Snow.
Hello, all you basketball junkies, and welcome to a new venture from Snowman Digital Media. We like to call it The Crossover. This is all about basketball, men's and women's basketball, from high school to college to the NBA, and a little overseas basketball mixed in. If it's about hoops, it's here on The Crossover. On this inaugural edition, you'll hear from a young lady they like to call Ace in Raleigh, North Carolina. She's out of North Carolina State, and her name is Ace Koenig. We'll talk to her. I got a few comments, maybe, about Anthony Davis being a one-year rental, and then Cole Johnson will join me to finish off the hour. It's basketball in rapid-fire format, 60 minutes every single day for you. Sit back, relax, and strap it down, and get your Hoop Jones ready. The crossover begins right after this. All right. A lot of people know me. Know I'm a big fan of women's basketball. And I've been a fan of women's basketball for quite a while. So when I introduced this young lady who was the ACC tournament most valuable player this past season, and there's just so many records to list, I would just only delay the moment when I am proud to say, please welcome to the program from North Carolina State University and a hopeful WNBA prospect, Ace Koenig. She joins me right now. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing good. It's, well, except for the fact that this coronavirus has shut everything down, it's crazy.
I know. It's being cooped up in the house, especially with no basketball to watch, is difficult.
Yeah. how difficult is it? You're a hooper. You've been a lifetime hooper, and there's no basketball on to like take your mind off of everything. I know that's got to be tough.
Yeah, we're starting to get creative in the ways we entertain ourselves. You know, there's lots of working out, but you know, doing playing board games and trying to watch as many shows as possible just to get the day going a little bit.
Yeah, it's really, really tough with everything going on. Tell me about this past season for North Carolina State. Very special season for you guys. You're the ACC tournament champions, and then just when things seemed to get on a roll, and this happened to a lot of teams, you know, the coronavirus just shut everything down. I mean, what's that do for your momentum?
You know, we were really excited, especially coming off of that ACC championship, like you said. We just thought we had a lot of potential and a lot of basketball left to play to show off that potential. We were a young team and we were really hitting our stride. So we were super excited to be able to go into the NCAA tournament and hopefully make a deep run. And, you know, we were heading into practice to prepare for the tournament when we found out, and we weren't allowed to practice because the ACC had said, you know, the coaches aren't allowed to host anything. You guys need to go home. But as a team, we decided to stay and hosted our own little practice without the coaches there and scrimmaged for a while to say our goodbyes. And we wanted to have a few moments of Reynolds Coliseum.
I think I know the answer to this question. Was it tough saying goodbye to your teammates with everything being on hold and being up in the air?
Definitely, because you don't really get that same closure. Usually, you know, there's a game and you either coming off a win or a loss, obviously, but you have that travel back, then you have the rest and let go slowly. But instead, you know, it was kind of like campus is closed, everybody needs to go home. You don't get that closure because suddenly everybody is scrambling to get home, and all of a sudden you guys are all in your respective hometowns without really the chance to have had that closure.
Yeah, and the closure has got to be the toughest part. Again, mixing in the season finish, you guys winning the ACC tournament, looking to make a deep run. Your name pops up in the WNBA draft, and you don't get drafted, which kind of disappointed me because I was looking forward to your name being called, but it wasn't called. What would be the next step for you?
You know, it's definitely a different type of scenario than people are used to, especially with the pandemic. You don't really have any solid answers right away because you're not sure when you're going to be able to go places and whether or not leagues are going to start up again. So right now we are focusing on finding me the right fit overseas, finding a team where I can really grow that skill set and be ready for whatever opportunity I get in the WNBA when it presents itself. There's always injuries. There's always unfortunate circumstances. And it's just about being physically fit and prepared to take advantage of those opportunities when they come.
One of the best three-point shooters in the ACC, Ace Koenig, joining me right now. Who are some of the players that you look up to in terms of how you shaped your game?
There's so many fantastic players. I actually grew up in a family of basketball players. So my very first role models were my aunts and my uncles and my mother and father. So those were the very first people before I even really knew how big a sport basketball was when I was just a little kid. Those are the people I got to watch day in and day out play basketball and do well at it. So they would have to be my first role models. And then beyond that, you look to the pros. Obviously, the greats like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi definitely would shape that. But I'd have to say my all-time favorite basketball player would have to be Magic Johnson.
Wow. Now that's a role model. You mentioned two others, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi. What do you take from their games, and what do you take from Magic's game to shape into yours?
Sue is the type of, and Diana are players that know how to win and will do anything to win. And it's that fieriness and that dedication to the game that I get for that from them and their performances. And then obviously Magic, just having fun with it. You know, he was the most exciting player. I did personally get to watch him. I was a little young, but being able to look back on his games and when they air them on TV, he was just the most entertaining person to watch. You could never guess where he was going or what he was thinking. And that's what made basketball fun at a young age. And I think that he would just shape me and showing me that it's about enjoying yourself too.
Are there any NBA players that you look at now to try to get a little bit more help in shaping your game? You look at all of these fantastic players. You look at Steph Curry and LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and they're all fantastic. But at this point in my life, I'm trying to emulate the greats on the women's side more so than anyone. And right now, if I had the opportunity to play underneath some of these fantastic female players in the WNBA, the Courtney Vandersloot, the Sue Birds, that would be the most exciting thing for me because, I'm trying to be where they are, and they've shown day in and day out that they deserve to be there. One of the players you mentioned is a player that I used to cover for the Chicago Sky, Courtney Vandersloot, a very, very, very good shooter. But if you could have a one-on-one with a WNBA player of your choice or 3 separate games with 3 separate WNBA players, who are those players and why?
I would have to say it had to be Diana, just because she's going to beat me. She's too good. But being able to play defense against her, learn and study what she's doing from actually being in that moment, that would be so incredibly exciting. It's kind of like when people say they would go and play one-on-one against Kobe or Michael Jordan, and they'd lose every time, but they made them better. That's something that I would relish. Man,
it's great to have you. Ace Koenig, one of the sharpest shooters in women's basketball. Man, if you hadn't had a chance to see her play, look up some highlights, and I am personally looking forward to following your journey wherever it takes you and hopefully brings you back to the WNBA. Thanks a lot for coming on. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Got more stuff for you, folks. Stick around. So a friend of mine and I dropped an hour-long conversation in the form of A, an interview for this program, and B, a podcast for the Snowman in the Morning podcast and other ones that I do via Snowman Digital Media. And for lack of a better term, some people got butthurt over it. Good. Maybe now you'll do your research before you decide to challenge me. And the friend I did it with is on the other side of the hotline, Mr. Cole Johnson, the man in charge of Cole Sports, and he joins me now. How are you, my friend?
Doing good, doing good.
Why do people get so butthurt when we drop facts about LeBron? I'll just start there and we'll just dive right in.
You know, I really think they have formed this bond with a player like a LeBron James, and they live vicariously through him. And I don't get why such the hardcore attachment. Like one of the criticisms that our last conversation brought forth, saying that to call a certain section of fans, I guess you could say a negative name, is a turnoff. Well, there's this old school saying, and it is true all down the line, and it is hit dogs hollow. So on my show, I have demonstrated what is the difference between a regular LeBron James fan and a Bronxexual.
Mm-hmm.
So,
great demonstration.
In my mind, thank you. In my mind, as well as yours, you know there's a difference. I know there's a difference. We don't call all people who love LeBron James Bronxexuals.
No.
Because the fandom is much different, because people who are legit fans of the guy actually have, I don't know, words like objectivity. I don't know, words like accountability, words like truth. You know, all these things actually apply to a LeBron James fan. I know them. I have befriended them. They exist.
Yes, they do.
They exist to the point where they say, you know what, my favorite player is LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen better players than him.
Yeah.
And other players have achieved more than he has.
Mm-hmm.
That is a LeBron James fan.
Yes.
A Bronxexual is one where they say, well, okay, so Jordan is 6 for 6 in the finals. What did you do in the first round? Because my boy has never lost in the first round. Kobe Bryant, 5 for 7 for championships.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what did LeBron do when he played against Kobe? 16 for 6. See, they ain't that good. They have this insatiable appetite to chop, to uplift their man at the expense of others who have come before him. And you and I, more than likely, are addressing that other lack of respect.
Yep.
And so when I hear criticisms like that, I love the fact that they get the mirror turned on them and they see, oh wow, so you mean tell me my fandom is actually borderline stalkerish and ugly? And you have the nerve to point this out to me? Well, forget you.
Oh man.
And I think that is what you're seeing. And that is what I'm seeing.
I sent you some screenshots of a group that I was formerly in, and you and I were just laughing for a good hour with all of the comments that I got after I dropped that podcast and we dropped that knowledge on them. See, Bronxexuals do not like truth and knowledge, okay? And one of my favorite comments, and I'm going to give you the floor on this, was 2 simple words: credibility lost when it came to my discussion of LeBron and the NBA. The floor is yours.
Credibility lost. All right, I will go to. Well, I'll borrow your words actually in said conversation that we had, where you said that LeBron is a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
From the Find a Lie department, I can't find it. You also said that he lacks being a complete basketball player.
Yes.
Again, from the Find a Lie department, I can't locate it. And if they have issue with you or me saying that, well, fine. They may have issue with you and me saying that. However, I know of a former NBA player. He now is the bomb in China, Stephon Marbury, who ranted about the fact that, well, that's sort of true in his mind, because in his definition, there's 3 words he says about LeBron: you can't shoot. So again, from the Find a Lie department, I can't find a lie there. So
how many times have I said LeBron needed it? How many times have I said that LeBron needed a jump shot, a consistent jump shot? I've said that
since I've known you.
I've said he needed a post game, because you can't bully your way to the basket and travel 90% of the time and get away with it. I also said he needs to, I don't know, make some free throws late.
And there, when they try to compare Jordan and Kobe to LeBron, I just go there. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a conversation with LeBron Session where when he was,
I knew it was coming.
when he was just listing all the platitudes that LeBron has,
mm-hmm.
and he was hitting me with his sort of facts, and I came back with facts on my end of, okay, that may be true, but this is also true, and you're refuting all this. Here it is. One of the things that I said to him was, you're saying that this guy is bigger, stronger, faster, better. I could see bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I could see stronger. I could probably even see faster to a degree. Better?
No.
Let's go to the free throw line. I mean, both Kobe and Jordan, they were hitting free throws at an 83 to 84% clip for a career.
Yep.
LeBron James, and no, this isn't slander, ladies and gentlemen, he has never shot 80% from the field from the free throw line in any season he's played.
Yep. And that covers 17 years.
So that right there proves your statement correct and my statement correct, and it is not being or it's not being butthurt.
No.
Or not trying to hold the guide on for another player. Your eyes see the same thing my eyes see. Wow, okay. He has some skills, but there are a whole ton of holes in him.
Mm-hmm.
And the free throw line is just one of them.
I've been consistent with this argument for his entire career, and I will continue to be consistent with this argument. And I'll give you another one that you and I both agree on that the Bronsexuals don't. Someone mentioned to me at my job that LeBron James has changed the game. I looked him in the eyes and I said, no, sir, he hasn't. He nearly dropped his coffee. And he actually said this to me, and I'll borrow from you. Quote, how can you say such a thing about the greatest player ever? Close quote. I knew you'd get a kick out of that. And my response is going to give you an even bigger kick out of it. I looked him dead in the eye, and I said, LeBron James has not changed the game. I can tell you a few people who have. He said, well, lay them on me. Let's see. Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, the King, Michael Jordan, and the Splash Brothers. And I got a look of fire from his eyes when I mentioned the Splash Brothers. And he said, what did they ever do? Let's see. 3 for 5 in the World Championship Series. Let's see. The most dynamic shooting backcourt that we've seen in a long time, if ever.
Heck, I'll go with ever.
I mean, the most dynamic shooting backcourt we've ever seen. And they've done something LeBron hasn't done. He says, what's that? They have taken an anomaly and have turned it into a weapon. And he says, what are you talking about? How many teams do you see attempting at least 30 3-point field goals a game?
I know of one.
The response I got from him, nothing but crickets. And I patted him on the shoulder. And I said, find the lie with the Splash Brothers. I patted him on the shoulder and I walked off. He has not spoken to me since, and I said that 3 weeks ago. To the point, ladies and gentlemen, where if I walk by and he's talking basketball and I drop a little nugget of knowledge, his response is, and you better hold on to your seats. Oh, go away. You don't know anything about basketball. I walked off smiling. I only said for 17 years that I've watched him play, LeBron is a phenomenal athlete, but an incomplete basketball player. So someone made the argument, oh, he can guard 1 through 5. Oh, yeah? There's a fellow named Magic Johnson who did it first.
And did it his rookie season.
1980. Oh, and by the way, folks, that came in Philadelphia against the Philadelphia 76ers when they were minus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who had a migraine. And he injured himself in Game 5, and he had a migraine. Yeah. And Magic Johnson said, never fear, Magic's here. That was to Paul Westhead, who was the coach at the time, and he stepped in and played center.
Yep.
And nearly threw a triple-double at Philadelphia. 42 points.
3-6 shy of it.
Yep. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. And, I know they didn't make unanimous votes back then, but Brent Musburger said he was the unanimous most valuable player. And I'm not arguing that fact.
R2.
I knew you would get a kick out of that.
I love the silent treatment you received. Not that you're getting the silent treatment, but I'm loving the fact that you received the silent treatment from the fact you presented facts to this guy about how the Splash Brothers have changed the game. I mean, the fact that he pushes back to you on that, it just tells me he doesn't even look at the game.
Nope.
I mean, and I will throw one more name in there, Shaq. And the reason why I put him in there is he may not be the prototype center, as in he has all the skills necessary. However, his presence on the court, we rarely ever saw a guy like him in a 3-year stretch dominate that way. Now, of course, we've seen Will dominate, period, but not the way Shaq did from 2000 to 2002.
Right.
And it was to the point where teams got smaller almost on purpose because They wanted to get faster and they wanted to get more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the changing game with Jordan. because of him, players like him and a slight forerunner to him, even though he's a small forward, James Worthy. We're seeing nothing. We have seen, and you could stop me when I say this, we have seen athletic wings because of more Jordan than Worthy, but definitely Worthy too, because of those two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was sped up by the fact that, well, we can't go through this big fella. We barely can go around them, but this is the best way we can do it. And teams got smaller, teams got more athletic, and then all of a sudden you started to have these stretch fours or stretch fives who wanted to bring Shaq out of the post.
Yep.
To defend, to open up the lane for the athletic guys to drive down it. So LeBron was supposed to be the guy to push that forward, because when teams are starting to do that, LeBron gets drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he wowed me, and I know he wowed you with some of the things he did.
Yeah,
on the court.
He did.
But probably ever since his second year in the league, I really have seen very little improvement from him since. And people could say, well, he didn't shoot as much from outside the second year versus the 15th, the 16th, 17th year. Okay, fine. Yeah. But when he does shoot outside, it's streaky.
Yeah, it is.
He'll have a game where he can go 7 or 9 from 3, and then the next 3 or 4 games go 2 for 9. And that's not an exaggeration. That's just fact. Just look at the tape.
Seen it happen live.
And then, and as for to me, this is my biggest point with him. As for the need to develop a post game, he's in the twilight of his career. He's not in his prime anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to find ways to get easy buckets. And it is easy. I mean, it'd be easy for him even if he had a Shaq in the middle. We don't even have that anymore because the stretch fours and fives want to be point guards.
Mm-hmm.
So the lane should be all his. I mean, he's Karl Malone's size, but he plays much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And even Magic, when he came back into the league with his 6'9", 215, 20-pound frame, he said he was going to be a power forward and played the power forward position.
Which means he camped out in the post 80% of the time.
Right. And what does that also mean? Well, that means that he has to find ways to contribute to the team and make it easier for the team to win. And in that case for him, he couldn't be that wonderful Showtime point guard. He had to revert to being a post-up player. Well, that's the same thing I'm seeing with LeBron. Now, yeah, you could say, well, he's a point guard now and he has great court vision. And I've said he has court vision like Magic Johnson. And he does.
Yeah.
Not as good as him, but his court vision is close to that. Unfortunately, he has a penchant for turning over the ball. So, I mean, you can't say this guy is the greatest thing you've ever seen. On one hand, and on the other hand, you forget, okay, there's been times that he, in big moments, dropped the ball. And I mean literally dropped the ball. And I'm not talking about 2007. I'm barely talking about 2011. I'm talking about 2015.
Yep.
2017, 2018.
Absolutely.
You know, so, I mean, there's those moments where we've seen him not come up to the occasion, and then you have, to me, what is called amnesia with these bronsexuals.
How many times have we talked about that? The amnesia with these bronsexuals. And I'm gonna give you a lob. I'm gonna give you a lob from Drexler to Olajuwon. When I saw a post and you touched on it, but I'm gonna give you the floor when I say, and a Bronsexual said to me, in Jordan's NBA, Bron would average a triple-double, 35, 10, and 10. And I'm going to back away.
I almost cursed right there. Okay.
Hey, true story, folks. This was a post I saw on Facebook. I kid you not. I read those words, and I
know you did.
Laughed. I laughed.
I know you did. I know you read them. That's what I'm talking about. This collective and Brown session seem to have about LeBron James. It's like they have. It's almost like when they're training. You know, when horse trainers train thoroughbreds. You know, they put these blockers in between. No, well, not in between. They put the blockers to the left and to the right of the horse's vision, and all they can see is in front of them.
Yep.
That seemingly is how Bronsexuals are. They don't seem to want to look to the right or left at competition that may be on par with them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to look behind, which means that they're studying what is behind them, and they don't want to look up because they don't want to study from the greats either. And it's just, man, it's amazingly almost mind-numbing at times in having conversations with them. And I'm like, they just tout 27-7-7. And it's great. Number career points scored. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. He may be 40,000, 10,000, 10,000. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not debating all of those being wonderful. I'm not debating any of those platitudes whatsoever. I don't care what player it is.
No.
But you can, to me, I put it like this. LeBron James is the NBA version of Brett Favre. What do I mean by that? You have a guy who stacked up wonderful stats. The guy threw for over 500 touchdowns. The guy threw for over 70,000 yards. That's on the plus side. Mm-hmm. On the minus side, he still now is the record holder for throwing most interceptions in the career in the history of the NFL. Mm-hmm. To this day. LeBron, well, he's on track to, if I'm lying, I'm dying. He's on track to become the single most prolific scorer in NBA history.
Yeah.
He's at, 34,000 now?
Yeah.
The record is 38. So if he has 2, maybe even 3 decent scoring years, he will break that easily. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the Cap. Love you, Kareem.
Captain Skyhook.
And, okay, and I'll throw in he'll probably get 10,000 assists, 1,000 rebounds along with it. Mm-hmm. That's the plus side. The minus side,
most
he is currently right now 124 turnovers away from taking over as the most prolific turnover-prone player in NBA history. The league goes 73 years. Mm-hmm. And that's why I make the equation.
Yep.
That's why I make the correlation between Brett Favre and LeBron James. You've got a guy who has prodigious talent, but is reckless with the ball, and has proven that over his career.
And, oh, by the way, I add this about Brett Favre. Only 2 Super Bowl appearances. One won, lost the other to the legendary John Elway.
Wow, what a performance. That's the thing that these Bronsexuals lack. Just this perspective, the right perspective, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That they will go to war with you saying, well, I mean, this guy is a wonderful playoffs performer. You know, when he gets to the playoffs, he never loses the first round. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
I never knew that you got a trophy for being undefeated in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I never knew that. I thought the goal was to
win the thing.
I thought the goal was to win more than you lost every single series in the playoffs to get you the Larry O'Brien trophy hoisted over your head. I thought that's what the goal was. Not to only say that I was better than another team once, and then you go on to the next series and you get blown out. I mean, heck, okay, well, fine. I guess we should have thrown a parade for Michael Jordan in May of 1988, because that would have meant that he finally broke through, won a series against the Cavaliers, took a full tilt of 5 games, and Jordan went absolutely ballistic point scoring wise, and say, well, hey, look at that. Jordan, he's the king of the first round, because the next round, the Pistons put them out the playoffs.
Yep.
So,
which leads to this
you
point.
You see how ridiculous that sounds?
which leads to another point that I've always made. There's a certain word that I've always used with LeBron that he has lacked, and that word is progression.
Wonder. The guy thinks that his body, and yeah, he does great work with his body, but the guy thinks that by his body alone, that he could just simply, when you roll the ball out on the court, he picks it up, and he is the most dominant force on the court of the 10 who are on it. And you can only do that for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Now LeBron, he's somewhat of a student of the game, but there's other parts of the game he doesn't study. He should study Shaquille O'Neal from that aspect. I mean, this guy, like I said, most dominant figure in the 3-year window I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But starting in 2003, we didn't see it whole hardcore with the cracks then, or in 2004. But we started to see it in 2005 and then 2006, to the point where he won his 4th championship. He wasn't the player that brought them the chip. He was a role player by then. Now, I just said he was the most dominating force in 2002, but he was a role player 4 years later. LeBron needed to study that and say, okay, well, doggone it. Well, so with my sheer body, I can't be that big time force. I'm going to have to learn some skills to extend my career. I love the big fella, but that's what Shaq did not do.
Yeah.
And LeBron is on that track to do the same thing. And as far as your friend saying that LeBron changed the game, I will give him credit. Yes, LeBron changed the game off the court. Yes. And I don't mean his charitable actions. I mean, he was the guy who made it okay for free agents to pal up with one another and say, okay, let's pool our resources, let's band together, let's win a chip together. That type of thing did not go on before July 2010, June and July 2010. But it went on then. So in terms of changing the way the game was played, there you go. And how would you say he changed that game? Well, hey, you had a guy in Kevin Durant who he criticized LeBron in 2010 in doing that move, only 6 years later to realize, well, man, I really need a ring. And I'm not going to get it in Oklahoma City. Let's go out to the Bay Area. If he didn't see that type of move that LeBron made, that 6 summers ago, Durant would not have made that same move in 2016.
True.
That is how LeBron James has changed the game, but it was off the court. On the court, LeBron has not changed the game because LeBron is a descendant of James Worthy. He is a direct descendant of him. A guy who has extreme high motor, a guy who can run up and down the floor, the guy who's like a gazelle. Yeah. And the guy who, if given the chance to make an impact and he's flowing, will do that. And
Easy.
Yeah. So, and that's not an insult to LeBron. That's just what he is and who he is.
It's just fact. It's just absolute fact. And
now,
these bronsexuals don't like facts. We've established that. These bronsexuals do not like facts. Period. They just don't.
For another example, when people say the greatest small forward of all time is easily LeBron James, I'm like, I can think of a guy from French Lick, Indiana.
Larry Bird.
who would have a real good conversation with you.
I can think of
And,
three.
I mean,
I can think of three small forwards who are all Hall of Famers that will put their game against LeBron's and will smash him. James Worthy, Larry Bird, Scottie Pippen.
And I'll focus on Bird. So with him, he wasn't nearly as athletic as LeBron.
Mm-mm.
And he would be the first to admit that.
Yeah.
But what he lacked in athleticism, he made up for in grit, in effort, and in being a skilled basketball player.
Awesome.
And if it weren't for the fact that he had back issues, that dude would have had a 20-year career because that jump shot was wet.
Easy.
That jump shot was wet, and his court vision not talked about as much.
No.
His court vision was awesome too. He could have easily had a 20-year career because that. And LeBron can't say that for that reason. He will have a 20-year career, yes, but he can't say that he had one because he was a great or dynamic scorer, or he had great court vision to where he took care of the ball, or he was a wonderful rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
He has the stats, but he doesn't have that skill set where you say, okay, well, he is great in this one area and he's good in the others. He's decent at scoring. He's decent as an assist guy. He's decent with rebounding. He's decent with defense, and he's getting worse.
Yeah. He's getting a lot worse.
You can't tell me one area in basketball that LeBron James is great at. You can't tell me. You can't even say he's great at penetration, because I can name many players today who can probably penetrate and drive down the hole better than he can now. So
I can name quite a few.
I make
and two of them are in San Francisco.
Right. So I will make that challenge. What does LeBron James do? One skill he does better than anybody, either in today's game or in the history of the league? And the answer is nothing.
Nothing.
But that is not a slight to him. That's just the facts.
It is.
And as far as changing the game on the court, and you get a Pshaw that Stephen Curry, along with Klay Thompson, gets that, or how dare you say that about him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But what
as I said on your show, and as I said on my favorite team is the Houston Rockets. I root for them.
Yep.
Been doing so 40 years strong.
Yep.
Not changing. But I'm also not going to have rose-colored glasses when I look at them. This is a team that when they saw Curry and Thompson hit their threes at alarming rates and get the results that they got with their offense, which was to bring bigs out from the post to open up the lane so that they could take care of, this is something that people don't talk about with them, so they could take advantage of their passing skills.
Yep.
Because they cut and cut and cut to the hole. The other three players, the front court should simply make backdoor cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl Morey, general manager of the Rockets, said, yeah, let's copy that. Of course, he copied the 2014 version of the Warriors.
And not the current version.
Not the current version, and not the, oh, yeah, you said the word earlier, progressed version of them. To where they took that model and they improved on it.
Yep.
To where it was to the point where you can't say that Stephon Curry and Klay Thompson are just three-point shooting artists.
Which is the argument they'll make which is the argument that most folks that don't like the Splash Brothers will make for Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. Oh, they just shoot. No, my friend.
No.
They do a lot more. They do a lot more than shoot.
No. Curry's a really good help defender. Thompson's one of the best one-on-one defenders we got in the league.
Yes.
So for anyone to say that all they know how to do is shoot from 25 feet and beyond, miss me with that. Look at the game, study it. And the reason why I know the Warriors so well is I got a chance to see them up close and personal, one May after another with the Rockets, and see that team clad in gold and blue knock out my team clad in white and red 4 times in 5 years. So I know what I'm seeing with this team, with and without Durant.
Yep.
They have put the Rockets out the playoffs with and without Durant.
Mm-hmm.
So this team has changed the way the game is played. Because look how the game is played now.
Yes.
Do you see a post-up player?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Do you see teams more than the Rockets now try to shoot 25, 30, 35 footers?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Did you see that 10 years ago? No.
No.
Why? You didn't see that then because you didn't have a shooter the likes of a Klay Thompson even, let alone Stephon Curry. You didn't see shooters like that. So your point's valid. They changed the way the game is played because the game is wide open because the team like the Warriors make you defend 45 feet of court.
Yep.
Versus 15 to 20.
Oh, and Steph has a great
I'm like, you don't even study the game.
and Stephen has a great mid-range game, folks. Okay, don't get it twisted.
He has an underrated mid-range game.
Yep. Don't get it twisted. The one thing I don't like about him is he has the ability to stop. He can penetrate and stop on a dime and either do a floater or do a just straight jump shot. Yep.
And to me, that is what's missing in the game. Mid-range jump shot.
Mid-range.
And to me, I think people can cook. Oh, let's go right back to LeBron. See, you all think that we're doing this to poke fun at the guy. No, we're seeing holes in his game to what he can do to improve upon it. And 17 years in, he hasn't.
He really hasn't. He really has. He really, really hasn't.
So, no, LeBron hasn't changed the way the game's played on the court.
No.
But yes, the Splash Brothers have. And to bolster your point, that has, I think, Colin Cowherd actually, Fox Zone, Colin Cowherd, actually said the same. And fully agrees with you. And fully agrees with you as to who and why.
Yep.
And I fully agree with him and you as to who and why.
Mm-hmm. And people love arguing with us about our basketball facts. Yeah, I kind of grew up watching basketball with my parents.
Yeah.
Especially my dad, because people seem to forget the era where the NBA was on CBS for many years.
Ooh,
before that, ABC had it until 1973. No, check that. 1974.
Right.
1974.
Okay, what's for?
1974, the NBA contract moved from ABC to CBS. And CBS had it until 1990. And then, of course, one of the greatest eras, 1990 to 2002, the NBA was on NBC. And I really hate the fact that it's not on NBC anymore. All right, let's just be real. Speaking of the NBA, let's shift gears. There has been talk. Let me try that sentence again. There has been talk that the NBA will vote for its champion. And I would rather see them play it out. I'd rather see them play it out. Let's just be real. I'd rather see them play it out and decide it on the court.
Of course.
You've seen the same articles I have. You know where I'm going.
Yes, I do.
You know where I'm going. There have been articles put out there now, folks, that it could come down if the NBA season is canceled, and I'm praying it's not, because I want to see Giannis get a ring. Okay, I want to see Giannis.
I do too.
I want to see Giannis get a ring. Number one, and number two, I want to see one of my two rumors of a big man coming to Golden State become reality, and I really think it will. More on that in a moment. But if the NBA season is canceled, it could come down to a vote of who the champion is, kind of like college football back in the 80s. And you know exactly where I am going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I'm just going to turn and hand you the ball, and you take it from there.
So when I saw that article, because I saw the same one, I said, man, these cats want to grease the wheel so hard. To give this guy a mythical world championship.
And
this guy meaning LeBron.
And it would indeed be mythical because it wasn't decided on the court.
I'm like, they want to give this guy a mythical world championship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, come on. Voting on who was the best team. This league has been in existence since 1947.
Yep.
I'm sorry. 1947. When has it ever been about the prospect of, well, a governing body thinks this team is the best? The whole premise of the NBA has been we settle all of team things on the court. Because I'll go back to 1995. And the reason why I go back to 1995 is that was, well, great year for me, great year for your boy.
Yep.
The Rockets, who were only 47-35, they were records-wise leagues below all four teams they faced off in the playoffs.
Yep.
Which were in succession: the Jazz, the Suns, the Spurs, and the Magic. You know what those four teams had in common? Each team won at least 59 games that year.
And each team had home court advantage in the postseason.
And each court against the Rockets had home court advantage against them. You know what also those four teams had in common? They all lost to the Rockets in that same year where they won at least 59 games.
Yep.
So you can't tell me that you can vote for a champion. There's a reason why college football decided to go away from that. And it is because they knew voting for a national champion was weak and bogus. And so they try to sell it on the field as best they can.
Yeah. So
we
how
can
about
debate
that?
on how good or bad the system is, but they've done away with voting a champion.
So how about this?
Come on, man.
Couple more points. How about this? There's a chance that the NBA season will resume, and I'm praying it does. But given the coronavirus pandemic, and the curve is starting to flatten a little bit, that everything will be played in Las Vegas. Your thoughts on that?
Okay, as a fan, that'd be great. It'd be wonderful to actually look at something, and I can't really hate on it as a fan. Being pragmatic, however, I don't want those players to be at risk.
Right.
I mean, the reason why sports shut down was because an NBA player was tested positive for the novel coronavirus. So they shouldn't restart, and then all of a sudden they have a case again.
Yeah. Because
the possibility at the moment, if they were to today do that, the possibility of that happening is high.
Very high. Very high.
You know, so no, I don't want them to do that just for the reason of I don't want to look at these players as commodities only.
Right.
And these players aren't commodities only. They're not just products. They're human beings too. And I hate it too because I do want to see Giannis hoist up the Larry Bryant Trophy because I love brothers like him.
Yes.
The guys like him are what made me a fan of the NBA in the first place. A guy who openly says, you know what? If you're wearing my uniform, you're good. But if you're not wearing my uniform, I want to bust you. And I don't want to go on another team to bust you.
Right.
That makes me root for a guy like that. So I want Giannis to get his chip. But if they can't do it, no. Shut the whole season down.
Bring it back when everything is safe.
Yes.
I've said it many times on this show.
100%.
Bring it back when everything is safe and the pandemic has passed. All right? Because you don't want to put the fans at risk. You don't want to put the players at risk, especially. You don't want to put the media at risk. Those are the three main things that make up sports: the fans, the players, and the media. Don't bring anything back. Please don't bring anything back until it is absolutely safe. That's why the WNBA draft has gone virtual. The NFL draft has gone virtual. I would not be surprised if the NBA draft and the Major League Baseball draft will go virtual. If it has to go virtual for a while, so be it.
I would not be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if society does reopen per se right around the time the NBA and the Major Baseball draft happens, which in both cases that'd be June.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they still went virtual even after that. I would not be surprised at all.
That's how I'm attacking my sales. That's how I'm attacking my sales, and I'm ready to go. Okay? And we'll close with this point. Okay? And it's a couple of big announcements, and I've hinted at this with you. There's another show via Snowman's Digital Media that's going to debut a little later on today, and the man that you're hearing on the line with me is in essence going to be my partner. It's called Beyond the Arc, and we are just going to talk hoops in all levels and all areas. Got a friend, Henry G, who is equipping me with a lot of women's basketball interviews. So I'm going to hit those and bring it into the show. But, yeah, I'd love for you to be my partner on Beyond the Arc.
Wow. Well, hey, all I got to say to that is thank you. I gladly accept. And for those who think that we were hard to deal with before,
you ain't seen nothing yet.
No, we just scratched the surface, my friend. So, yeah, I mean, let's bring it on. That's all I got to say. Yeah. I'm happy to be a partner with you.
Beyond the Arc will be on the RTF Sports Network and also via snowmandigitalmedia.com. There'll be a podcast version of it, and it'll be an hour-long show, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. The podcast will roll each and every day. So, yeah, us brothers are going to be busy. And to the bronzexuals, let me change that. And I'm going to end this on a note that you've often given me. To the folks who believe and continue to believe that we can't come together and do anything when it comes to sports talk, I believe Cole Johnson has said this to me a few times, and I hope to get it right. We were through with it before you knew what to do with it.
The mic has been dropped.
My partner in crime, I love you very much, and I can't wait for Beyond the Arc, man. We're going to be busy. We are going to be busy.
Oh, I can't wait for it too. Thank you for the invite for this, and thank you for the future invite for our new show. Thank you so much, my friend. Love you.
I love you too, brother.
The Crossover is a presentation of Snowman Digital Media. Copyright 2020. For more information on this and other great programs, log on to snowmandigitalmedia.com.